and welcome back to my channel. My name is Mila. You're at Alexandrian Archives, and today I wanted to talk to you about every single book series that I'm in the middle of. So in this case, middle of doesn't necessarily mean I'm like strictly in the middle of. Most of these I am. However, it could be that I read the first book and just didn't continue, but I haven't DNF'd it completely. Like, I haven't said, oh, I'm not continuing the series whatsoever. Or I am actually in the middle of the series, considering, taking into account how many books there are, what book would be considered middle of the series. Or if I am, like, currently reading the book, or if I read a good chunk of the first book. So there's a couple of, definitions for this, but like anything really is on the table. So I have a list here, so if you see me looking down, I am looking at my notebook, although I can probably prop it up somehow. But anyways, so the first one I have is Empire of the Wolf by Richard Swan. I did start the first book, which is called The Justice of Kings, just because I've heard such good things about it, and I liked it. But I don't think I was just in the right mindset for it, because I was also doing it via audiobook and I switched to the physical copy and I enjoyed it, but it just felt a little bit slow. But I do want to finish this trilogy because I have all 3 books, so like, why not? The next one is a Shepherd King duology. So again, this is 2 books. I read book 1 and I loved it. 5 out of 5 stars. It was one of my favorite books last year, I believe. And I did start the second book, however, I have not finished it. I think I just need to do like a full-on read-through, one after the other, without stopping. So, because there was quite a bit of time between me reading book 1 and starting book 2, so I forgot a couple of things, and yeah, but I was really enjoying book 2. The next one is the Greenbone Saga. I don't shut up about this series. I don't shut up about Fondeli's, like, other books either. Like, her novella, Untethered Sky, is one of, like, my biggest recommendations for those that want to get, I guess, into fantasy, but also those that are feeling a reading slump, because that took me out of my reading slump last year. I thought it was brilliant. Greenbone Saga, I read book 1, and I started book 2, and I just never finished it. And that was before book 3 was released. And I also don't have book 3, so I'll have to get to it. But that doesn't really impair my ability to start the series or continue the series. So I will have to reread it again. Like, I'll have to reread Jade City because I am lost. Like, I don't remember anything. It's been a while. So, yeah. The next one is Stormlight Archive, and this is actually, I do have a reason it is. Oathbringer, I read 50% of Oathbringer, like, on the dot, according to my Goodreads. It was a bit of a slog. I know I'm gonna get, like, Stormlight, like, Oathbringer truthers in my comments, probably being like, how dare you. I still maintain the fact that the opinion that Words of Radiance is the best book Sanderson has ever written, because that was absolutely phenomenal. Oathbringer was great. It was great. I was having a blast. But man, I was also feeling like I was torturing myself for reading it. Like, I was just not fully enjoying the world and the plot the way that I enjoyed it in The Way of Kings, as well as more or less Words of Radiance, because I love Words of Radiance. I think about that book every single day. But Oathbringer was just, I was feeling it. I was feeling the 1,000 pages. I was feeling it. I don't want people yelling at me. But I get what you guys are saying, that Oathbringer is amazing. It is. It's phenomenal. Brandon Sanderson has not missed for me yet. However, I was just feeling it. I was feeling the 1,000 pages. I was feeling a slight drag. It felt like a slog. And yeah, so I did get, halfway through the series, because I was halfway book through 3, and it's a 5-book series, and I will reread it before Stormlight 5 comes out, and yeah. So that's basically. The other one I have is Mistborn because Era 1 specifically. I read the first book and the second book and I enjoyed both, although I didn't really like the second book. I think that it suffers a little bit from second book syndrome. I enjoyed it. It was still interesting and I gave it a pretty solid, like, high rating. It wasn't 5 stars, however, like the first book was. And I just never got around to reading book 3. And I know that people cry and people will probably tell me, go read book 3, but I'd have to reread the entire trilogy because, again, it's been a while. And I just need to reread it. I think next year I'm going to try and get through, like, all of Brandon Sanderson's books, like, especially the Cosmere-related books, so I can be up to date. Anyways. And the next one I have is the City of Dusk trilogy, which is called The Dark Gods by Tara Sim. So I believe it's a trilogy. I think it is, according to Goodreads, because when I was writing this list down, I checked Goodreads, and I believe there was a third book. Anyways, so I read City of Dusk, and I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was such an interesting concept and stuff. And then I just never got around to Midnight Kingdom. And again, there was quite a bit of time between my reading City of Dusk and my reading Midnight Kingdom that I was just, like, in the middle of all these other books at the time that I just didn't have the mental capacity to read another book and the sequel, no less, right? Or, like, the second book in the trilogy. The next one is The Poppy War, and I know people are gonna yell at me for this for sure, especially if I post a TikTok version of this on my TikTok or, like, a real version of this on my Instagram as well. Because I don't shut up about The Poppy War. I try to recommend it at every turn. I recommend Arf Kwong at, like, every turn. Every moment I get, I recommend her books. And the reason why I haven't finished The Burning God specifically is because I know what happens. Okay, I know the end result. So if I don't read it, it hasn't happened. It was spoiled for me via tweet, and I was so mad. I learned my lesson. So I know what's going to happen. I just don't want it to happen, because once I read it, it's going to happen. Anyways, I think I'm just gonna do, like, a whole reread, and I'll vlog it for you guys. I was planning on doing a vlog, but then I just stopped halfway through Dragon Republic. So, like, I'm just gonna reread it all over again and do a vlog, and yeah. So, yeah. And then the next one is Strike the Zither by Joan He, and the second book is Strike the Gong. This is a duology. I know I will love book 2 and everything, and Joan He's one of my favorite authors. I'm not ready for the breaking of my heart, you know, because Joan is gonna, like, she knows she has me wrapped around her finger, okay? So I'm just mentally not prepared. The next one I have is the Wheel of Time series, and y'all know why I haven't finished this, because it's 14 books, plus I think, like, a novella or something like that. It's 14 books, okay? Ain't nobody got time for that, okay? Plus, I think the middle section also is, like, really, really difficult to get through. Like, it's a slog because it repeats, and it's just slow, which is understandable because you have a 14-book series. Of course there's going to be slow parts. So, I read book 1, and I enjoyed it. I really did. Thought it was fantastic. I got book 2, and I just was not enticed to continue it. One day, I will continue the series. One day, you will get an update on this, and the Wheel of Time will not be on this list. However, that is not in the near future. Next one is Memoirs of Lady Trent by Marie Brennan. I have no excuse for this because I own all the books, including the sequel that follows Lady Trent's granddaughter. That's not exactly a spoiler because Lady Trent, the Memoirs of Lady Trent, is written as if Lady Trent is, like, already older and she's looking back on the things that she, like, did. So this is about, like, a dragon professor, dragon researcher, and it's really good. Like, I read book 1 and book 2, and then I just dropped it at book 3, which is weird because a lot of the things that are referenced in book 1 and book 2 are in book 3. Like, it's building up to this voyage and that's book 3. And I was like, no, I'm done, for whatever reason. So I have no excuse for this. I will get around to it, as I've been saying for the past several years. However, I'm just all over the place right now. The next series I have, and I'm gonna get yelled for this because I also recommend this author at nearly every turn, is An Ember in the Ashes. So, funny story, ladies and gentlemen, and however you want to be called. How do I say it? So I read book 1, loved it. Book 2 had a little bit of a second book soon. Book 3, so the funny thing about book 2 is I requested a physical copy from the library, right? Since it was at the other branch, I would have to wait a couple of days for it to come to the main branch, the one where I'm close to. And then I got on my Kobo, and while I was waiting for the physical copy, I finished the book. So, yeah. And then I got book 3 physically. Like, I only have book 1 and 3. I need to get book 2 and 4. And I just never got around to finishing it, you know. Yeah, I also have no excuse, but, because I need to get on it. Anyways, so I did get halfway through the series, even more than halfway. The next one I have is 6 Crimson Cranes. This is a duology. It does have, like, a prequel to it that's related, about another character, but it's not necessary, I guess, to read the duology either way, so we're just going to consider it the duology. I read 6 Crimson Cranes. I loved it. And I even learned how to make a paper crane for, like, the picture that I took of it. And then I pre-ordered The Dragon's Promise. And again, there was a lot of time between, like, my reading the book. And I just never got around to it. The next one is A Song of Ice and Fire, and this is one of those, like, exceptions, I guess, where it's like, hey, like, I'm reading the second book, so, like, I'm reading it, I'm actually reading it, it's not like I abandoned it. So I am reading A Clash of Kings. I'm feeling the drag a little bit. I'm gonna power through because I'm excited to get to the next book, because I heard that, like, the next book is really, really good. So, yeah. Next one I have is Engines of Empire by R.S. Ford. This one was another recommendation from one of my favorite booktubers, and this is like fantasy with like a guild. Think like, what is it? Not steampunk, but like mecha fantasy sort of. Like there's like mechanical stuff, and oh man, I don't remember. I don't remember what the name of the specific type of fantasy it is, but anyways, I started reading this and I was really enjoying it, and then I just set it down. I think this is gonna be a trilogy, so in this case, it was just like, I got a good chunk of the first book through. I got through a good chunk of the first book. That's how we're gonna go about this for this one. So, yeah. Sorry, I'm just fixing my glasses because there's something bothering. Yeah, I'm gonna get to it. What the hell? Anyways, the next one I have is the Devabad trilogy. This goes on the list of authors I constantly recommend and series I constantly recommend, but I haven't finished myself. I don't know, you're gonna have to go back in time and ask 16, 17-year-old Mila why she didn't finish it. I do want to finish it, I have no excuse for any of these. The next one is The Last of the Talents. I might not finish this one. I might give my copy away because I'm just not particularly interested in this world anymore, and now it's like a trilogy. I thought it was a duology for some reason, but now it's a trilogy, and I loved it, but it's not particularly memorable. And then the last one is oh no, that's not the last one. Second to last one is Nightingale and the Falcon. The first book is The Judas Blossom. The second book is The Blood Dim Tide. And this is one of the first books this is the first book I read this year in the January book club pick. And I loved it. I thought this was fantastic. I just need to get around to the second book. That's literally it. It's a trilogy. I don't know when the third book will be out. I don't know what it's called yet. However, I'm very excited to get to this. And the last one is Priory of the Orange Tree. And I know this isn't like a long series, but it's a long book. And I read Priory, and I haven't read Days of Fall Night, although I was very excited about it. I don't think I have the capacity for very, very, very long dragon books with Samantha Shannon's type of writing. That's, I think, the only problem, because she has very interesting writing, and it does take a little bit for me to sort of keep up with the story. And that's not her fault, that's entirely me, but it's just her style of writing causes me to really want to, like, sit down and just, like, digest it all. And I can't be distracted at all. So anyways, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts down below. Like, comment, subscribe as usual to be notified of every time that I post. And if you like my videos, please consider supporting me like that. I am trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know your thoughts, as I said. Applicable links will be down below at some point. I've been neglecting that, so I have to get through to that. And what else did I want to say? Oh yeah, follow me on all my socials, and I will see you in the next one. Happy reading!